guys, Matt here from Rec Brewery. I'm going to do a review of this beer. This is going to complete the grain to glass series of this beer. This is my pumpkin Marzen. So we're going to go ahead and roll some footage. You can see the brew day and everything that was involved with that, and then we'll come back and talk about this. So see you in a minute. Alright, we got some pumpkin here. I'm going to do a little more this time. Normally I do the 59 or 60 ounces, which is usually either one big can or 4 small ones. But I want to add a little bit more pumpkin this time, so grabbed an extra can. Okay, that's 5 small cans of the 100% pure pumpkin, and then, you know, of course, one of them is the Libby's, which the Libby's is a little bit darker, but I blended it all in as best as I could, and I smoothed it out so it's got a pretty even amount here. So this is probably, so what is this? So instead of it being about 60, yeah, these are 15 ounces each, so 60 ounces. So instead of that, we have 75 ounces we're going to try this time. I got the stove set to 350, and like the last time, I've noticed a good result by baking this at 350 for about 15 minutes. Not much, just enough to give it a little toast and to bring out some of the flavor. And then we'll put that right on top of the mash. But yeah, while this is going, let's go ahead and set the timer here. Wrong button. Looking through the camera. There we go, 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and mill those grains. The trash truck is here. But yeah, just sprinkle this right on top of the mash here. We'll mix it in good once I get the pumpkin on top and once we deliver the water. Alright, turn this off. Oh yeah, looks pretty good. We have a pot holder, don't want to burn ourselves. Pull this out. Oh yeah, it smells wonderful. It's got a nice, got a little bit of a toast to it. That's just enough. Looks like it's just a little bit solidified. Took some of the moisture out of it, so that's good. We'll go ahead and deliver this to the top of the mash. I don't know how well this is going to show on the camera. You can't really see the grain bed, but I'll go ahead and deliver this pumpkin. Just going to sweep it up on top. And it's still a little liquidy. I probably could have left it in the oven for another 5 minutes. That's okay. Just wanted to get a little bit of toast in there. So I just have it sort of just sitting on the top there. I'm going to go ahead and deliver the water now. As you can see, the water is starting to come up there. It's pushing all the air out of the grains. So we got no dough balls from the underletting. We're getting there. Another gallon or so left to deliver. Putting in about 4.6 gallons into the mash is what the recipe is calling for. Okay, all the water's been delivered. I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up. Turn our mash nice and orange. I'm gonna try to not disturb the top part too much. I'm not gonna like roll the grains into this or anything. I like to try to keep most of this pumpkin towards the top so it doesn't gum up the filter. But well, I didn't have any problem the last time I did this with the system, so it's probably okay. But we will see here if we wind up needing any type of rice hulls. But we'll see once we get this flow going. Alright, delivered the water fully. Well, you saw that already. Mixed it up. Got all the hoses hooked up. I topped up the HLT back up to near the top of the coils for the Herms coil, and we are going for a mash of 150, so everything is now kind of bouncing out. Since I delivered cold water, it did bring the HLT down a little bit because I delivered the water at 162, so kind of calculated it so that when I added in a couple more gallons back that it would work out. So it looks like it has, and we got a good flow. Seems to be going good. So we'll let this go for a few minutes. I'll check it again to make sure we don't need any rice hulls, but I think we'll be all right. I think I would have seen a problem already. So okay, not more than 5 seconds after I turned off the camera, the pump started having issues. So I think it's because I added an extra can of pumpkin. So we got more pumpkin in here than I normally would run with this. So I went ahead and added in 2 hands of rice hulls. It's probably, I don't know, half a pound probably. Maybe not quite a half a pound, but we'll see how this goes. Okay, the saga continues. But I finally got this stable. This has been running for a good 10 to 12 minutes. We still got a good flow rate. Did end up adding a gallon of water and another couple handfuls of rice hulls. So it's probably now a good half a pound or so in there of that, and I think we're doing okay. Problem is that pumpkin is a good insulator as well, so what I'm doing is I've cranked up the HLT way up to almost mash out temperatures because I'm trying to get this back up to the 150, which is what I want to mash at. So once it gets to the 150, I'll probably lower this down some, or hell, it might even be getting close towards the end of the mash by then, I don't know. In which case I'll just mash out, but we'll see. This is saying 146, but I just took a probe with my thermopen here inside the mash tun. It's actually at 148, so it's a little low for what I want, but it'll be okay if it doesn't go anywhere else. I would prefer it to be at the 150, but we'll see what happens here over a little bit of time. I'm gonna go ahead and check that pH though. It's been mashing for almost 20 minutes. Well, that'll work. I was actually aiming for 5.3. or even closer to 5.4 for this Oktoberfest. So I might just add a smidge of pickling lime just to bring that up a tad. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. Alright, I'm going to mix up a new batch of Star Sand. I try to do this every couple of brews just to keep it fresh. I use the old one for cleaning up at the end of the brew day. Let's go ahead and mix that up. Five-star chemicals. Keep your brewery nice and sanitary. Okay, we just started sparging. Never got up to the mash out temperature, and I went well over. I think we've been mashing probably a good hour and a half. But that's okay. It is what it is. So we were supposed to sparge with about 5 gallons, so now I'm sparging with 4 since I had to add a gallon to the mash. But yeah, it's looking alright. And we'll get this going. Get up to volume. Alright, got our hops all measured out. We're going to use some Liberty from one of my hop boxes from Yakima Valley Hops. We got our 60-minute edition here, which is 0.7 ounces. We've got an ounce for late boil. It's set at 30 minutes because we don't want to impart too much of the flavor. That's why I'm not putting it at the end. I'm putting it right in the middle of the boil. And then here we just got the yeast nutrient and Whirlpock tablet. So all set for that. And we're just finishing filling up this boil kettle now. We're at what, a little over 5 gallons. We're trying to get up to about 7.5 is usually what I aim for, is about 7.5. And then that way I have enough in my fermenter. So back in a minute. I got my hop screen here. I don't know if I ever showed this, but I'll overlay on top of this video here the what this looked like before. This was pretty nasty in here, stained from the constant use in the boil kettle with the hops over the last few months. So I soaked this in the PBW from Five-Star Chemicals. So I've got that container down here, right here. And I also have, no actually I don't. I had liquid PBW, I ran out. The liquid PBW is very nice as well. So, but this, I believe this was the powder that I used on this. But yeah, just soaked it overnight and came out to being very close to new. It's not stained anymore like it used to be. It used to be like a greenish or a brownish color, so it looks much better. Okay, we're right at the 7.5 mark, which is what I aim for. Went ahead and shut off the pump. I did have a little bit left in the bottom of the kettle. Probably oversparged slightly, but that's all right. I think the pumpkin has thrown us off a little bit today. Not a big deal. So we're set to 200, just to make sure I didn't get going too rigorously here. We're going to go ahead and change this over to manual mode, 100%, bring this up to the boil, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we've got a nice rolling boil going there now. Turn this down to my usual 55% efficiency. Go ahead and add in the first hop a drop. This is the 0.7 ounces of Liberty. Boom. Back in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Got the 1 ounce of Liberty. Okay, with 15 minutes left, we're going to add in the yeast nutrient and Whirlpock tablet. There we go. Alright, boil's done. I'll go ahead and start chilling. Everything is already hooked up, so we turn on the water. That's simple. And while we're waiting for the beer to cool down so I can put it in the fermenter, I'm just running some Star Sand, or sorry, this is Sandy Clean actually, in the mash tun. Just getting everything nice and rinsed out after washing it and sanitized. So using that Clean for 5-star chemicals. The Clean is the one I like to use when I'm dealing with pumps, when I have to run it through the kettles for an extended period of time. And I'll use Star San for pretty much sanitizing everything else. Okay, we've been transferring to the fermenter. I tried to get this down as cool as I could without trying to use like ice water or anything, but my groundwater today is 73. So yeah, pretty much that's where I'm going to be. Can't get it any colder than that. We're right around that 73 on the dial going into the fermenter. Now the yeast I'm using of choice this time around is going to be the Oktoberfest from Omega Yeast. It is the OYL 107. Now this one does say that the ideal temperature range is 46 to 58. So I am going to want to try to get this wort down to 55. So what I'll probably do is set it into this ferment chamber over here. I have it actually set to 55 currently. And what I'll do is I'll just try to get this to come down to 55 tonight. Pitching it at 70 won't be a problem. And then it'll just let it do its thing once it gets to the right temperature. So that's where we are now. And yeah, I think it'll be alright. I've used this yeast before. It's pretty good. So we'll see how it turns out. Now the last time that we brewed this beer, the Pumpkin Marzen, last year, I believe I used White Labs Southern German lager yeast on it, which I think is like 820 or 838, somewhere, one of those, I forget the number exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how this one turns out with the pumpkin. Okay, let me go ahead and pitch the yeast. Already opened it up because I don't want to have any oops moments here. Trying to do this one-handed. But there you go. Should be everything in there. I did swirl it up pretty good, so it should be alright. Go ahead and put in the tilt. And we'll go ahead and seal this up. Okay, so we're improvising a little bit because I couldn't find the attachment I was looking for. But I went ahead and stuck the airlock on here with no Star San in it because I didn't want it to be sucked in while I'm lowering this to 55. So this is, the rest of this is as it should be. But I just soaked a paper towel in Star San, closed it up on there so that that has nowhere to go. And we'll go ahead and check it on a little bit. Okay, so here we go. This is the Pumpkin Marzen. I'm calling this one Headless Hoser. It's a beer I brewed back in middle of October, so certainly late in the season, but you know what? We're home brewers, so we can brew whenever we want. It is a traditional Marzen beer that I started with, and then I added pumpkin to it. And I had good success with this before, so I wanted to brew it again this year. Appearance-wise, this thing can probably use a little bit more time lagering, but it's actually very clear. Let me bring it up here close to the camera so you can actually see that. You can see straight through that, no problems at all. I got my Ass Clown Brewing glass. I got this with Larmo 22, Larry Lentz. I actually happen to be wearing the shirt as well. That wasn't planned at all. Actually, I was wearing the shirt and I just happened to pull out the glass. I figured, you know what, might as well make it match. But shout out to you, Larmo 22, Larry, if you're watching this. Enjoyed meeting up with you a few years back, and maybe we can get to do it again sometime. But in any event, with this beer, I mean, as far as the appearance goes, I'm a little bit bummed out that the head isn't sticking around as much. Carbonation level in there, maybe I need to crank it up a little bit. I think it was over-carbonated when I first put it into the keg, because I had put it into the ferment chamber after I cold crashed it, added some gas to it in the keg, bumped it up to 40 psi for overnight. And I think I might have left it in there a little longer than that, and that's how it became over-carbonated at first. And I think I just kind of overcompensated here. So maybe a little more time in the keg at the typical standard serving pressure that I run here. Maybe this will get better looking.
But I think as far as the head retention, I did dial back the carapils this time around just because I added a bunch of other malts into this. Maybe I should have just kept with the standard that I had in here. I had 8 ounces of carapils the first time I made this beer. This time I dialed it back to 4. So maybe that's where the missing head retention is coming from. Maybe it's from the pumpkin. The pumpkin may be doing that as well. I'm not 100% sure. But we'll talk about this a little bit as far as what went into it. We have 6 pounds of Pilsner, 3 pounds of Munich 1. I did put in a couple of those big cans of canned pumpkin. You saw in the video that I toasted it in the oven for a few minutes just to give it a little, bring out some of that flavor in it a little bit, give it a little bit of a toasty character without really toasting it too long. I think I might have had it in the oven for maybe 20 minutes or so. It wasn't in there for long. See, I put a pound of aromatic Munich, a pound of Victory, 8 ounces of melanoidin, and then the 4 ounces of carapils. The hops I used in this one was Liberty. Used that for my Yakamali hops, hop box. So I went ahead and used a 2-ounce can of that, and I split it up, put some at the beginning of the boil, some halfway through. Used Omega OYL 107 Oktoberfest yeast. I think that might have been the second time I used that yeast. Not on this beer. I used a different yeast on this last time. I think last time I brewed this beer, I used the WLP 838, the Southern German lager yeast, I believe I used on this the last time around. Let's see, mashed 150, got a mashed pH of 5.3, and just, pretty standard, kind of balanced water profile on this one. Nothing too crazy. But I did do the diacetyl rest on this, cranking it up 5 degrees a day from the fermenting temperature of 55 up to room temperature. And I just kind of let it sit in there for a while. I was actually doing some traveling, I think, when that happened, so it definitely got a little extra time there. And as far as the being in the keg, it's been in the keg for almost a month now, so it's had some time to lager. Let's see what we have here with the aroma. Yeah, it's got a nice malty aroma to it. Very sort of like Vienna lager kind of a aroma to it. And you can definitely pick up some of that Munich in there. Not really picking up much of the pumpkin. Then again, I don't think we really do. Typically, it's like more of a vegetal taste and aroma from that. I'm not really getting much of that in the aroma on this one, but hopefully it comes through in the taste. So enough talking about it. Let's have a taste of this beer. Cheers. Man, yeah, that's good. That's very good. I love malty beers. And this is a very complex malty beer. I love it. Very, very nice. It's got, I'm definitely picking up a lot of that Munich, which is why this time around I did dial up the Munich a little bit. From the last time I brewed this, is certainly coming through in the taste. And I am picking up a little bit of the pumpkin. I did dial up the pumpkin a little bit this time. I usually do 2 big cans of the Libby's canned pumpkin. This time I did, it was 75 ounces. So I think it ended up being not quite 3 cans, but it would have been like two and a half of the big cans. So it would have basically been like 4 or 5 of the small cans. I forget what the exact math is on that. I think the small cans are something like 15 ounces a piece. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at that brew footage. You probably already have seen it now, because I do believe I captured that when I was spreading it out on the cookie sheet. So I did put an extra can of pumpkin in this from the last time, and it's coming through. It's not as vegetal as it was the first time I brewed this. It's definitely get a little bit more of the pumpkin. I didn't put any pumpkin spice or anything in there. If I really wanted to get more of that pumpkin or spicy pumpkin spice kind of a character from this, I could have done that, but I wanted to keep this the pumpkin to just be there as a nice sort of highlight to the beer without it being too crazy. And it's very well achieved here. This has really turned out to be a nice malty beer with a drive-by of pumpkin. It's there, but it's kind of integrated very well. And this came in at 6%, so it's not really a slouch, and it's not over the top. Yeah, this is good, very good. I think I'm gonna try to don't know if I'll brew this every year, but I try to brew a pumpkin beer every year of some sort lately. And this is one of those where if you're not, if you're not really completely sold on pumpkin, I know some people with these pumpkin beers, they overdo them. But if you're somebody that isn't a huge fan of like pumpkin everything, this isn't bad. You'll probably like this because it's very low key on the pumpkin. It's just enough of it is there, but not to take away from this nice Marzen style. So it's really hard to say about this one. I hope everyone's doing well. I'll see you guys in the next video, wherever that may be. I got another brew day coming up here pretty soon. I'm going to be brewing a beer for a friend, kind of have a little bit of an idea. He likes the shock top pretzel wheat beer that came out limited time a few years back. I've never been privileged enough to try it, but I figured I might try my hand at making one, and we'll see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? It'll be beer at the end. We'll get the pretzel flavor that comes through in that beer from Shock Top. Don't know, but I'll give it a try. That's part of the fun of home brewing. You get to do whatever the heck you want to do, and you can have some fun with different ingredients, different styles. And yeah, come join us, brewtubers.com. You can come join the fun with the rest of us, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Cheers.